All right, so we are live, Babcock Ranch Real Estate Show, and we're actually going live for the first time on YouTube. You didn't even know this, Susan.
No, you didn't tell me
Throwing,
this.
throwing you a curveball. We're now
You are.
live on YouTube and the Facebook group. So, of course, no one's joined yet, but give it a
That's
few
okay.
seconds here. So, yeah, I think we should talk about all those topics. Rentals are a good topic because I get that question all the time, and I'm not even like focused on rentals, but I do try to help my clients.
Mm-hmm.
And so one big
Yeah.
question though, mortgage wise, I wanted to answer, or you to answer, is like, what happens if, inevitably this market's going to flip, right? And we may lose home, we may lose a percentage of our home value. I mean, and back in 2008, like
Mm-hmm.
we lost a lot of people lost half of their home value, if not more.
It was about half, I think. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, here's an interesting story. My father bought a condo in like 2006,
Mm-hmm.
right before the market crashed. He
Mm-hmm.
paid, high sky price for it. He sold it like about a year and a half ago, or maybe about 2 years ago. And when he sold it, he took a big hit. That condo finally is now back to where he paid for it
So
back
that's
in
interesting.
2006.
It's interesting you say that because I actually owned a mortgage company during that time, and I owned a house during that time. And I bought high, sold high, bought high. But my house dropped value too. And I went on Zillow probably a few months ago, and it still wasn't exactly at that value that I paid for it in 2008. So while the market is up, it almost, I don't know, it's people are more sustainable. They're in these loans that they're qualifying for. You know,
Right. Big
that's
difference.
that's a big difference, and these rates aren't adjustable. So those are two big differences, and also the shortage of houses. Right, we have a housing shortage, which
That's a
we
big
didn't have
factor
before.
too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying that I don't expect things to change. I don't think this type of growth is sustainable. Long term anyway.
Sure.
Um, and this is all just right opinions. Nobody knows anything,
Yeah.
um, but this type of
Absolutely.
growth is not, sustainable at this level. But does that mean it's going to drop off? I think. I think in order for it to have a major impact or a major loss, you're going to have probably a storm of things brewing. Right? It's not just going to be one thing. So what's one thing that's going to happen? I'm going to assume rates are going to go up. So that's one thing that's going to happen. That's going to be, I guess, maybe in the column of, the sustainability is not going to continue, and it might drop because now the affordability is going to be less because people are going to now not qualify for $600,000 houses. They might qualify for 450. So the pool of people is going to get smaller.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, that is something that's definitely going to be an impact going forward. What else is going to be an impact? So, what about the housing shortage? If materials pick up, is that going to make a difference? I mean, from what I understand, there's what, 4 million, 4 million houses that they're short or whatever. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
big,
that's what I read. Something like we need about 4 million homes right now in the US to catch up to the demand.
right.
So
You know,
we can't build that fast enough. That's
yeah,
another big discrepancy too between 2008 and now. The amount of homes they were building at the time was like staggering, and they're not building anywhere near that same amount today. So yeah, it's like that demand, the demand's there, the supply is short, and that's kind of a big factor in what's driven up the prices here, not just here in Babcock, but like all over the
yeah.
United States.
Yeah, for sure. And I know sometimes, I have seen in different areas where, somebody will reduce the price of their home, but a lot of times you have to understand that when you're in a crazy market, some people really that much more overpriced to begin with. You know what I mean? Because it's crazy. So why not just try $1 million? You know?
Yeah.
So
So what can people do though? Like here's a scenario. Let's say someone buys a home today for $500,000 and they take out a 30-year mortgage, and then in, let's say, whatever, 4 years from now, the home values drop 20% because there's, another recession, big recession. And well, like, how can people prepare for that from a mortgage standpoint? Because my thing is, like, I feel like if you're long, you're going to make out if you're long and you're buying a home here for a long time. But obviously, things could change if you're thinking of just buying a home and being in it for 2-3 years and then trying to upgrade or something. I mean, that could
So
change the plans.
Right. So the first thing you have to do is figure out what your goals are, right? So you have to have, well, this is, and it doesn't have to be 5 years, right? Like if your kids are graduating high school in 12 years, that could be the next change. So you have to have, this is when I'm planning on doing something different. And until then, you have to imagine that, I mean, we have possible inflation, which, I mean, probable, I should say, right? It's happening. So there's a lot of inflation stuff. They don't know if that's going to, change, if that's really inflation or not, right? There's the controversy of that. But having said that, you have to at least plan for that. So what does that mean? It just means that when you go to get approved, the question maybe you shouldn't be asking is like, what can I approve for, right? Because a lot of mortgage people will take that as like, all right, this is the highest you can approve for. I was speaking to a client the other day, and she told me that another mortgage person approved her for 600, and I said, okay, that's good, and we're just talking, and I'm like, well, what kind of a payment are you looking for? And the payment she mentioned does not match a $600,000 loan. So I said, okay, and I knew that from the start, and so I said, okay, so this is the payment. I said, but you don't have to spend this much. I mean, that's what you're approved up to, and here's the comfort level. So with debt to income ratios, it's important to stay where it's comfortable. Can I stretch it? Yes. Who should be stretching it? Maybe the people that have higher debt to income ratios have like a husband or a wife that works, that's not on the loan. Maybe they're unique, they're self-employed. Those reasons are stretching it. But if you really don't expect to make more money and you're just barely qualifying by the skin of your teeth, I wouldn't recommend that in this economy, because you have to leave room for things you don't know what's going to happen. And if you do get into something affordable, just make sure you get into a fixed interest rate, and don't be tempted by adjustable rates.
Right.
Yep. So I would say those are some things that you could do now. And look at where your bills are. Try not to get into a ton of debt. Try to have some money in the bank.
Which is tough. Most Americans don't have money in the bank, or, I think that rule of thumb is like, ideally you want 6 months of living expenses. I don't even know what the stats are of how many people even have that. So
yeah. And it's a little scary. It's not a bad idea if you have, let's just say you're someone who hasn't had the ability to save. It might not be a bad idea to refinance, take that cash out while the interest rates are really low, just to have like a savings account in case of an emergency, so you're not having to go to your credit cards. If you're able to do that and maybe pay off debt and overall save money, and now you have a little extra cash and you're still saving money on your mortgage payment, that could be a win-win.
You're right.
Let's
talk about that. Let's talk about that refi cash out, because you've been doing a lot of these lately.
Yeah, well, it's really hard not to when you figure out what the value of your house is, and a lot of people see investment opportunities. So they go,
Right.
okay, well, I can take, what'd you say?
So are we in like the perfect market for a cash buy or cash out refi when your home value increases quite significantly?
Correct. Like this might not be the lowest ever in history for interest rates, which was probably about a year ago, but they're still incredibly low, right? So if you're able to get something in the high 2s or low 3s for a cash out refinance, then you might be able to save money, take that money and put it into other use. What are some people doing? They're refinancing, they're taking that money, they're able to build a house. As you know, we talked about savings, right? A lot of people's money is in their house, so they don't have that 10% to put down to build the house. You know, if they're trying to upgrade, those houses can be $600,000, $700,000. That's a lot of money for people to have in their bank. You do a refi cash out, now you get that money in order to put down on that house. Or let's just say you want to keep your house. Some people are taking that money out and they're buying other property with it, other investment property.
Yeah, or even maybe just investments. Like one thing I know, when inflation's up, putting your money in the stock markets are usually pretty good bet, and also like commodities right now are a pretty good bet because of the crazy demand and limited supply. So
And
not that we're giving financial advice here.
yeah, no, hey, this is not financial advice. We are not telling you to buy.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what people do. I don't want to come across as this is what I recommend. I can tell you what I'm thinking about doing. But as far as advice, yeah, we're not financial advisors or anything.
So
But
we actually, or
go
sorry,
ahead.
what were you gonna say?
No, go ahead.
So we actually got our first question in from YouTube, which is kind of cool since it's our first time on YouTube. Jason G's asking, do you think the end of 2022 or early 2023 will be still good to purchase in Babcock?
Do I think
Basically, a year from now, will it still be a good time to buy? Personally, I think the prices are still going to be going up through like the end of next year. The biggest challenge is, when does this demand drop off? And, you've got multiple factors. Florida's got extra demand. Like, there's 3 states that have higher demand than the rest of the country. It's Florida, Texas, and Arizona right now. So you've got like that extra demand coming here. You've got all the baby boomers are starting to retire, and they all like to come to places like Florida, Arizona, and Texas because of the tax incentives. You also have like this bubble inside of a bubble in Babcock Ranch where, they can't build homes fast enough here right now. So I think the prices are going to be even higher at the end of next year.
But it's all relative. So I guess the question is, why wouldn't you buy now? Is there something holding you back from doing it now so that you could secure the prices now?
Yeah.
Versus in the future. But if let's just say that's when you qualify for whatever reason, at that point you'd have to reevaluate. But I do think that it's probably better than not buying a home, and ending up in a rental situation.
Yeah, and the other thing to point out too, rentals are fire right now. I just had a client close on a home, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,700 square foot home in Edgewater with a pool, and he's getting $3,500 a month. So anybody who's like, I think this is good for anybody to know. If you have the means to buy now, but you're not ready to move here, you should pull the trigger. Like, I help all my clients. If you buy with me, I'll get you a renter free of charge and help you with that process as working with me. And I've been doing that with a lot of people because it like you said, you're going to pay a lot less money now. We can get you a renter that's going to help you pay that mortgage, and at least hopefully you'll be making a little bit of money. You're not going to have too much. You shouldn't have any additional costs. Hopefully that rental will cover everything, your mortgage, your taxes. You need a little buffer in there for when things go wrong. But also think that first year you buy a home, you've got that warranty. So, whatever's going wrong in that home that first year, you can have the builder cover if that's what it takes for you to, if you need another year to get down here, or 18 months or even 2 years. I think it's better to pull the trigger today, buy, get a renter, and then move in when you're ready.
And even when you think about like Lennar and stuff, all these, all this bidding stuff that's been happening. I mean, now there's like comps of these, homes selling at these prices too. So it would be strange for the builders just to, come down in price. Again, if the whole storm of everything happens, then I can see, values steadying off. But it just seems unlikely. Like when you think about all the differences this time around, compared to last time.
Yeah, and Babcock's a very special place real estate wise too. So for example, Lennar, they were doing bidding in every one of their communities in Southwest Florida, Well, there's a lot of communities here locally that Lennar does where there's no more bidding. I mean, you can go right down the street to Portico, to Hampton Lakes. You can go to Crane Landing in North Fort Myers. There is no bidding going on, but the bidding is still nuts here in Trails Edge.
Yeah.
So it just shows you how special Babcock is, even in this whole region, which still has, a ton of demand.
Right. And I think the unique thing about Babcock is that it's, it was always priced a little bit lower, but now it's developing so much that pretty soon it's not going to be like far away. It is the way, as the Publix grows and with all the exciting stuff happening here, it's hard not to want to live here. And it's also a great, places like Portico or whatever, it doesn't seem to me like they attract as much out of state. Like Babcock in of itself is just so special and unique that when you start researching like places to live in life, this is something that is different than what you've seen. And it's unique. So I think that it has its own like following, I want to live in Babcock because I love, sustainability. I love the ideas behind, Sid's vision. So.
Right. There's definitely a lot of drawing points and a lot of different drawing points too than most communities. So, I mean, we have it just about everything here. The only thing people keep complaining about is like not having enough doctors and all those specialty doctors here, but all that's going to come in time.
Right. When the population
gets I don't know if you know this, Susan. They're going to build a hospital. Once 5,000 homes are here, they're building a hospital in Babcock Ranch. So, I mean, it's all coming. And, you think of like all the things that they continue to do here. I mean, we were at that meeting with Mr. Kitson last week, and he was like promising, the best is yet to come. And I'm like sitting there with a smile on my face. I'm like, it's already so great. What
right?
can you
much better can it get?
Do? But yeah.
Yeah, it was really awesome to be there. And that's, that's the other thing too. I was, when I was working with Kitson, we do want to get people involved, and we want to let people out there know that Babcock is a great place if you are a business person, if you are an entrepreneur. It's wonderful because the neighbors are engaged and everybody helps everybody, we try to help each other's. I mean, every time if I'm about to buy something, I always think, is it something my neighbor has or a service my neighbor can help with? And
definitely.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people feel that way. And I think that's what makes it work. So if you have a business or a vision, come down to Babcock Ranch. I run the Babcock Ranch Entrepreneur Group here for the last 2.5 years. And we've helped some people just who've never, like Perry, she has a home-based business, and she does, she has like through the cottage law, she cooks and bakes, and, she didn't know how to own a business, before she came here, and she learned some tricks and tips and stuff to keep you safe and make sure you're licensed and regulated, and, but have the support and have an audience that you can talk to and as well. So there's a lot to Babcock Ranch that's, just you might not have even known.
Definitely. I'm just trying to, for anybody watching, we did have some questions earlier, but anybody watching, if you do have questions, drop them in the comment box below. We lost you, Susan.
I know. I'm here. Give me a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Let me see. I know there were a few questions. I got to find the post here. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, okay. So first question we got on the was Stacy S asking, how much over the asking price are lots selling for? So I'm assuming she's referring to Lennar and the bidding process. I mean, I can just tell you bids are still, in terms of Lennar, like bids are still going crazy. Like I just heard of a Palmetto that just sold for nearly $70,000 over asking price. I had a client win a Sylvester, 60,000 over asking price. I'm hearing, it does depend on the model. The most popular models where you're getting the most bidding is the Majestica, the Palmetto, and the Sylvester. Those three homes, like what people are bidding on, is just blows my mind because it keeps going up. It's crazy. I can't believe it.
And
But
those lots, I mean, I see the contracts coming in, and it's the lot prices, right, that they're bidding on. Some of those numbers are really high. Those bids are high. And like you said, those models, certain models are going for. The other thing I've noticed, I've actually seen a couple people get a really good deal. And so if you want the scoop on that, what'd you say?
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I had a client win a Sylvester at $20,000 over recently, but she got super lucky.
So let me ask you this. Was the lot not as desirable?
No, it was, but for some reason, whoever won the bid, which I heard the winning bid was like 50 over,
Yeah.
that person walked away for whatever reason, and she was like the only other person who bid on that. So I noticed there are sometimes these lapses, like week to week, where sometimes maybe one of those more popular models don't get 5, 6, 7 bids. There might only be 2 bidders. Like I know there was a Palmetto a few weeks ago, like only one person bid on it. So like if you're in the game and you keep like bidding, like you're going to win. And that's also partly why I think the prices keep going up, because you get like a pool of people who start bidding, they'll bid like 40,000, they lose. Next time they're bidding 45,000, they lose again. The next time they're like back to 55,000. So I think that's what contributes. And then, the salesmen, they're in there telling people you got to bid as high as you're comfortable to go, because they can't, give exact advice to be fair to all the people who are bidding. Like their advice is kind of vague. It's just bid as high as you're comfortable bidding. And so.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I had a client who got a good price, and the way that she handled it was that she had a house it was the same house she was bidding on. It was just the lots were different. And she basically, wanted the lot that was coming up second. So, so she said, well, I'm not really sure what to do. And I said, well, why don't you go ahead and make a bid that if you win, you're going to be happy that you got a good deal. You know what I mean? Because if you don't win, now you've practiced and now you can get the other one, the next time that you bid.
Right.
And she got that. And she was so excited that she got it, for just a little bit over. So,
Yeah,
and when I say a little bit, it was still a lot. Don't get me wrong.
yeah.
It's, relatively speaking, it wasn't like 2,000, 3,000. I mean, we're talking, 20,000, 30,000, like you said.
Yeah. So there are, I'm hearing of things like that happening, but even like, I think the least popular plan right now is like a foxtail. Like I think people are only bidding 20, 30 over on those regularly, but I heard now like a Washingtonia, somebody bid $68,000 over. I've heard Alexandria's, which is basically a Sylvester without the front bedroom. I heard people bidding, 50s to win those. So, people are bidding up to 20% over the asking price.
And you know what? The thing is that when the prices of homes went up, the builders really didn't, I mean, they did raise their prices, but not as much. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why this whole bidding is happening, because they could have raised their prices and flatlined it, but they're doing the bidding system. So,
Right.
I mean, those prices, I mean, like, are they just going to stop the bidding system and just be lower, or you think they're going to raise the prices when they stop the bidding system?
They're going to keep bidding as long as people are bidding. So right now there's no end in sight in that for Babcock. At least in Trails Edge, like on the golf course, it's different. You don't have to bid over on the golf course, but you have to kind of get in line over there. And the lines are for houses over there are very long. So
I don't even think I realized that they were still building homes there.
They are. They still have houses, but they're only releasing, I had a client interested in an estate home, and I was talking to my guy over at the golf course. He's like, yeah, maybe I can get you in one in like 3 months. So it's they're not bidding there at least, but you do have to like get into the queue over there and be patient. And the toughest thing working with all the salesmen is like, I feel like this is no matter what builder you work for, like they get told nothing by their managers. Not nothing, but like when homes are going to be released, all that stuff, like the managers like don't even like prompt them. It's just like they get the email in the morning. It's like, okay, this lot, and this lot's open, go sell it. And, so it can be very frustrating at times when I'm working with clients who want to be in like Parkside right now. They just finally released a lot in Parkside this month, but they hadn't released lots for, I don't even know how long, 4, 5, 6 months, something like that. So
Yeah,
it can be, it can be a challenge. And I guess for everybody out there, like you need to come in here with like an open mind and be willing to be flexible, because you can't just come in here and get what you want the day you want it. It's just not going to happen right now in this market.
no, it's true. It's the thing is that if you fall in love with like a model, it's hard. You got to bid a decent amount, especially in Lennar. But the thing about Lennar, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they tend to be one of the quicker ones, especially like Timber, right? Like they can kind of go a little bit faster there, or
Yeah, they had a few homes there in Lake Timber that they sold like, 2, 3 months right before they were finished. But Lennar traditionally, right now, they wait till the slab is poured and then they sell the lot. So they're already ahead of the game. And then, it's, they're delivering the home 6, 7 months later. So yeah, right now they're pretty good with like delivering on time for the most part. Versus, another question, which you and I can talk about, Susan, because we're both building Pulte homes, is from Kathleen A. She goes, what is Pulte's construction schedule for which lots will be released and when? And then another one was from Mary Ellen. Why are all their houses not completed on time? So Pulte's construction schedule, to me right now, it seems like they're 2 months behind on just about everything they're delivering. Right?
yes, it seems about 2 months. But actually, Lennar, some of their stuff seems to be on time. But if I look at their contracts, all my contracts that were in December and January got pushed back 2 months as well.
Every builder's behind right now.
Everybody's behind
because of the supply chain. Like I was doing a walkthrough today with the Littles. Shout out to Rebecca and Ryan if you're watching.
Yeah.
And so they're buying a condo on the golf course, and we go in and there's like no they're called cassettes, like the things that like go over the vents. So we go into the condo and every single cassette is missing. And the guy said, I've ordered, hundreds and hundreds of these and they just still haven't come yet. And so it's just an example, one small example of the supply chain issues they're having. He was talking about the fire alarm. So that building has no fire alarms right now. Another thing he's been waiting on for months.
That doesn't sound good.
And it's just, them trying to even find suppliers to have it. Like I've noticed when Lennar was first building here, like all the little things they used in the house were the same, like the thermostats, the even like the wall outlet covers. And now I noticed in like the new homes, they have I go in like multiple different homes and everything's different. Like
they just get what they can.
Because they're getting exactly. They're doing everything they can to find what supplies they can use. So that's how challenging.
Can you just imagine all the extra work too? I mean, even just having to worry about, now I have to go get X, Y, or Z, or this, like, that was just like, it's like, that's a full-time job too, I imagine. Like,
yes.
Not that I'm feeling bad for any builders, don't misunderstand me. I mean, but I'm just saying it's certainly not easy. And I think that, if you have the conversation up front with people and you tell them, hey, listen, this is what we're thinking, and you always do that. We always give them, a range of when they might actually close. So that's the tough part about people. Like, how long do I rent for? A lot of people sell their houses. Now I'm going to rent. How
Right.
long do I rent for?
Yeah.
And that can get stressful, certainly.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to mention about like the supply chain and closings right now, you're going to find right now that Pulte and like Meritage are a bit slower right now because all the extra labor is going to Lennar because it's the end of Lennar's fiscal year. So Lennar, like in November, they pay everybody more money. So all the contractors are working for Lennar right now, and all the Pulte and Meritage guys are like getting shorted right now. So it's like this is like this game here at the end of the year. I think Meritage, their fiscal year ends in October. So in October, they're getting all the laborers. Lennar's getting all the laborers this month, and then Pulte's on the calendar year. So then next month, Pulte's getting all the laborers to help them finish their work. So these are like the little things that go on. And, you got to figure that's happening like quarterly too, because all these big companies want to hit their numbers quarterly. So it's, this big shuffle between labor, even laborers, there's a shortage. So yeah, all those things are just compounded to, slow down all the builders right now. So that's why you have to be very careful. And we talk about this all the time about planning and, when to move in, when to have your furniture delivered. Like it can get very hairy at times.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. I think it's hard to try to balance that. And also too, for me, I think, I'm always trying to find out when we're going to close, or, trying to figure out, can we throw a 90-day lock,
Right.
I mean, you're almost at that conversation, John.
I know.
So
it's soon.
I'm going to have that conversation soon. So it's a balancing act, trying to figure out when to lock.
Yeah. So, all right, next question from Tony Roma. Will we be getting higher end restaurants anytime soon in Babcock? So I'm not exactly sure what you mean by higher end. If you're thinking like fine dining, I don't think anything like that's coming. I know the pizza restaurant, Pie Local, Juma, Mexican restaurant. And I heard there's like an Asian or sushi restaurant going in Crescent B.
I heard that there was going to be 2 restaurants on the water that were supposed to be nicer.
Nicer. What water though? Sunset
I
Lake there?
I don't know what it's called. The one across from Publix, is that what that is?
Well, you've got Crescent B Commons, and then across the street there, they're going to do that 40,000 more square feet of retail. So is it going to be in that next phase of Crescent Commons?
I don't know the exact area, and it could be totally rumor, so don't believe me, but that's what I heard.
Because I heard those 2 restaurants. I heard a BurgerFi.
Yeah, I heard that. Mm-hmm.
So fine dining, I'm sure it's going to be here eventually, but again, we just passed, what were the numbers I shared? I just shared the numbers of how many homes are,
was it like 15?
Let me see if I can bring that up. How many closed homes there are. I don't know. Let's see if I can find it. Keep talking, Susan.
That's all right. I can keep talking. So
here it is. So period to date, we're at 1,652 homes closed in Babcock Ranch. So there is, we still have at the end of the day, I mean, we might have like 4,000 people living here. I'm thinking roughly you average it out to about 3 people per home. So we might be at around 4,500 people living here. Like that's kind of small at the end of the day, but it's going to get much bigger. So I would think at some time we're going to have some like high-end fine dining, hopefully as good as the stuff I used to eat in New York.
I'll open it.
All right. So next question. If you had the flexibility, would you purchase new construction or resale in Babcock Ranch? So I would buy new construction because right now new construction is less expensive than resales. So if you can wait to move here, yeah, I would go new construction and get new and, wait your 9, 10, 11, 12 months for your home to be done. Resales are really, for people that need to get here now. So,
Yeah,
so
I
yeah.
think it depends on your purpose. Yeah,
And
and
the
then also
resales
too.
are more expensive right now by a lot.
Mhm. Yeah, they are. They are more expensive. The good thing about resales though is that people know what they get. Like sometimes, I'm not the best at imagining stuff. So like if you look behind someone's house, you can see their lake, you can see the view, you can see exactly what it is. So if you like to know exactly what you're getting, it's certainly a good way to look at it. But more so, I totally agree with you. It's the timing. But understand that, a house today that's $40,000 higher, for example, in the end might be cheaper than a house $40,000 cheaper at a higher interest rate in a year and a half from now.
Oh, good point.
So there's a lot to it.
Right. You never know where the interest rates will be in a year or 6 months.
Yeah, the affordability is tough because there'll probably be a time if the rates do go up where the values might stabilize. But does that mean they'll go down? I don't know. It depends, I
Yeah.
guess, how high the rates go. And again, they're balancing it all, right? So if they see like, I don't know, it's just strange because if they see that it's causing a lot of issues, you would think that they would either put more money into the quantitative easing or, try to keep the rates a little bit lower, longer term.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to know because they keep printing money. And I just know that's not good, but how much they expanded the monetary supply this year. But we're also not economists, are we?
Oh,
All right. Next question is, we have our house already in construction and may be closing in January, but my kids are still on the waiting list for the school. Do you know of any plans for the Babcock school to be expanding the elementary part? And all I know is that the master plan for Babcock is like, I think it's 3 elementary schools I heard. And I saw a map of the next phase of Babcock Ranch, and there is a school site on that. So my guess is, it should get alleviated next year when they move all the kids to the high school, I would think. I mean, I'm driving by that high school every day, just like you are, Susan. So it's going up. I'm sure they're going to have it done for next school year. So that's going to take all those upper grades out of the school, which should, in theory, provide more room for the elementary and middle school grades.
yeah, you would think there would be more classrooms. I mean, I didn't hear that specifically, but that would be common sense, hopefully.
Yeah. So,
And I know their goal is to have, be able to have all, the goal is not to have Babcock children go to, outside of Babcock school unless that's their choice. So I know they try everything they can to get everybody in.
right. All right. Next question. Also from YouTube, Jason again. We would like to visit, but we aren't buying for another year or two. Is that worth it, or should we wait until we are ready to buy? I mean, that's up to you. Obviously, when you're ready to buy, things are going to be entirely different. So maybe if you're in the area, you come by, drive around. Like, if you can't buy for a while, I mean, I wouldn't waste your time going through models and stuff, because those models you see today, like, they may not even be available, or who knows what the story is with the builders.
I think
It's
I
hard
come
to
from
say.
I come from a different standpoint. So I'm not saying come or don't come here. That would depend on your finances. It's certainly a good idea to come here. I mean, I came here a year before I bought, and I looked at all the houses I couldn't afford. They didn't have Lennar and Pulte at the time, so we were looking at all these big homes, which honestly weren't. I mean, not big homes, expensive homes that weren't big enough for our family. So, so in any event, it's okay to come down and check out your dreams. But why can't you do it now? feel free to reach out to me. Let's see if you can tell me the why, and maybe I can help you with that.
No. All right. Next question. Should I hire an inspector before closing? I mean, I go back and forth with this one. I personally think it's better to just hire an inspector, like at your 11-month, something like that, right before your year warranty period is up. I just like if there's anything wrong in the home, you're going to find it over that first year of living, most likely, anything significant. And that's why you do want to hire that inspector right before your warranty period's up, because then if he catches anything significant, you can still pay it back to the builder. But I mean, plenty of people do. Like I have a client who lives in Nevada, and she's been having an inspector come at every phase of her home. She had the inspector come check out the slab. I'm sure he's going to be back to do like a pre-drywall inspection. So, I mean, that really depends on, your level of comfort, I think. But
I agree with that. And to chime in, just to say that they do have inspectors that go out, from the buildings before they get to the next phase. Like they always have to have like the city people, come in and inspect before they can move on to the next step, which, is a layer of protection. But, if the question is, do I have one now or later? Then I would say later and agree with you. But if you really don't care about the $400, do it twice. You know what I mean? Like if it's going to help you sleep better for a year, do it. I actually ended up doing it for my house. I hired an inspector, and he was like a friend, and he came in and he didn't like write it up or anything. And he didn't charge me. He just said, "Oh, I'll just look at it for you." And he didn't find anything. Now, I don't know if I had used somebody and hired them and gave a whole report, if it would have been a little bit more in depth. But I will also say that I haven't had any major problems in my home, and I've been living here for almost 3 years. So again, I think if you have the money and you don't care, do it.
good advice.
Yep.
All right. Someone else asked, is the year warranty for all builders? So every builder has like a comprehensive warranty package, which includes like your finish, your 1 year. That's kind of like everything is in that first year. Then your second year, like Pulte does, I think you have like a 2-year warranty on all your mechanical, electrical, plumbing. They have a 5-year something Pulte in there, and then a 10-year structural warranty. So everybody does something similar. Like Meritage does a 2-year warranty end to end. They all have pretty much, I think, a 10-year structural warranty. So it's a little different by each builder. And then even like the higher end builders have their own warranties as well. So yes, every builder has a warranty. It's just it differs a little bit by builder.
Any other questions, John?
That's a questions wise now.
Okay. I wanted to bring up a question. Well, not a question, but tell you what a client said to me the other day. We were speaking about their loan, and they kind of sent me a text message and said that they had heard about me through the community, and they thought that they were afraid to reach out because they thought that the mortgage company was going to be upset because they were already, working
Which
with
builder though?
the builders. Yeah. So, so you have the freedom to, explore other options and use someone other than Lennar Mortgage or Pulte's Mortgage Company or Meritage's.
And
Each one, they should explore them.
Yeah.
I was talking to a client yesterday, somebody we know, and they were quoted an interest rate. I think it was almost higher, 1 point higher than mine. And
Wow.
then today I did research, and I'm 1.25 point difference.
And that's like
mind-boggling.
$100,000 over 30 years, probably.
Yeah, she was. I think it was several $100s a month payment. So, so take the time to reach out because those credits that they're offering right now are very small. And if you still have 30 days to go, and or if you happen to want to do a rush closing, I'm just kidding. I'm not taking any rushes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, if you 30 days or a little bit less than that, is fine. But come to me if you can. Within 90 days would be ideal, so we can get your lockdown. We might decide to lock for 90 days, depending on your situation. You are able to change with all the lenders, with all the builders. Meritage does give you a hard time if you pass that 21-day period. So if you do have a newly signed Meritage contract, it's time to reach out as soon as possible. I'm not sure if they'll let you pick after 21 days, and I won't comment on whether that's legal or not because I'm not an attorney, but um, it's something that I do believe people should have the choice of their own company. So if you're with a Meritage contract and you want to possibly get a second quote, please call me as soon as possible. We'll check your contract. And we'll even get you in a commitment if we have to overnight. So let me know on that. And then with Lennar and Pulte, I mean, I work with them all the time. They do not give hard times to change. You just have to be, you just have to put your foot down and say, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And as long as you tell them that, you're good to go.
Yeah, I haven't seen any issues with Lennar or Pulte changing, but yeah, Meritage, once you pass that 21 days, you are locked. So
I work with the Lennar title company so much that like she's one of my friends. I mean, like literally, I feel like she's one of the people at my bank because we work together every day. I email her,
Sure.
So we have great relationships with the title companies, and that's what matters because we're giving you the money and they're giving you the house. So they're the builder. So you want your relationship with your mortgage company to be good with the title company. So, having said that, we were talking about us building our houses, and Pulte seemed to get caught up a little bit though, right? With like Babcock Estates at least, right?
Yes, that's according to our construction manager. They said his supply chain has improved recently, so that has had an impact on them, getting the homes finished. But it's hard to know because, like we talk about all the time, it's like when you watch these homes go up, there's like no rhyme or reason why they do this home or that home, or like on our block, I was the first person to sign a contract. I know that for a fact, but I was the second home that they started building. So, why was that? I don't know. I don't care. But, I see them, how they're like putting up the homes. It's kind of just, I don't know. I don't understand their methods or their processes. And
the weird thing is that even though you sign the contract, there's no rhyme or reason to when you sign the contract, because I believe I even want to say that there were people on different lots that signed like before someone else, in a sense. Well, put it this way, they gave their $5,000, like the hold before someone else, and that different lot, I think it's by the lot maybe that it gets released. And so
maybe.
like, yeah, or even I look at one of the lots that I was thinking about on the other street on Foxtail over there. I was looking at that one and I'm like, how's that house up? Oh my goodness, that like, I remember saying no to that lot and picking the one I did, and that house seemed like it was further along than mine. So you can't compare because you'll just drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to be patient with the process, and it comes when it comes. So let's see. This is a question for you. With regards to veterans and VA approved loans, are any of the builders offering a discount with regards to initial deposits?
Yes. So the discount they offer is that they let you do it with 3.5% down, which obviously VA loans, you can do a no money down. But I think the way they look at it is that they assume that 3.5% will probably be your closing costs. And so therefore they get some type of commitment from you. And then that 3.5% will go towards your closing costs. Now, if you want to do a true no money down and you want me to pay for all your closing costs, we can certainly look at that, and we can give you a credit towards closing costs as well to reduce that, and maybe you can get some of that 3.5% back, if not all of it, if that was your goal. But otherwise, that's the best I've seen, is that 3.5%. Do you agree,
Yeah.
John?
Yes. Yes. You have to, for VA or FHA, you have to put 3.5% down to lock in the contract.
It's hard sometimes for VA to understand that because VA is technically no money down.
Right.
So, and
And,
go ahead.
yeah, and another thing I think a lot of people who don't know VA loans understand is like you still have to pay the closing costs with the VA loan. I think, so, I don't know if it's a misconception or it's just people not being like educated enough on the subject, but yeah, you still have
Yeah,
all the regular closing costs with the VA loan that you would, a conventional or FHA loan for the most part, especially with the builders. The builders throw every closing cost on you. So that's why, compared to traditional resales, you're like builder costs are like almost 40, 50% even more than like
yeah.
a traditional resale. So,
And that's another reason why it's good to get a resale. If you don't have that 3.5%, what are you to do? You can buy a resale,
mhm,
no money down VA. And
yeah,
you can ask the seller to pay the closing costs if the house appraises, or we could give you a credit. And with me, with the way that credits work is that you just basically increase the rate. So it works the opposite of a buy down. So today I was checking out rates for a specific client, on that product. They could buy it down to 2.3, or they could go up and get a credit, of who knows, $14,000, $18,000 if they took a rate in the high threes. So you can choose your rate, and that's the nice thing. Now, if you have the ability, I completely think getting a good rate while rates are low is probably the best course of action.
yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So what else should we talk about? I did kind of want to talk about what's going on with the builders in each neighborhood.
Okay.
So we could do like a builder rundown. We could talk a little about resales, and we also wanted to talk about rentals some more too.
Yes.
Staggering prices of rentals.
Yep.
um,
Have we talked about flood insurance at all?
no, why don't we talk about that? Because that's
Fun topic.
well, a necessary topic people should understand, and also people should understand the way that it takes them time to remove those flood zones out of like the new areas that they are developing here in Babcock.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So basically, a lot of new areas, and I don't know about like Northridge or Meritage or anything like that because I haven't gotten to that stage yet, with them. But for Lennar in the Trails Edge, community, we both live in Trails Edge right now, and we don't have flood insurance, nor are we required to have it. But the new areas where they're building in Trails Edge, they haven't submitted the paperwork to get the flood waived, and therefore, for at least the first year or however long that takes, you need to have flood insurance. And that wasn't really a major problem or whatever before because we're not in we're not on like the beach or anything. We're not in a very like high flood zone area. The flood zones, the cost was cheap for it, or it wasn't too much, somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 a year. Well, as of October 1st, unless you were grandfathered in, the new prices of flood has gone up tremendously. So I actually compared one of my clients, who had I think it's like a 2,400 square foot house, and they got a flood quote, in the 500 range, and then we just kind of had them get a new quote just to see what it would be if they got nowadays, and it was like 24 or 100, so it was quite high. And I'm not saying that's everybody's quote, you have to get your own, but just to give you a difference, I mean, it went up 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
So that the reason why that's important, I mean, it's okay to pay it one time, and especially if it's going to go away. I mean, don't not buy a house because of that, but whoever you're working with on the mortgage side has to understand, and they don't yet, because I'm telling you, because I'm looking at people's disclosures or approvals that they get from the mortgage company for the builder, and they don't have the flood quotes right. So a lot of times that's going to make your debt ratio higher. You know, not many people can swing rates going up, your payment going up maybe $200, $300 a month, plus insurance, $200 a month. Can you handle 500 more in your debt ratio? You know, that's a lot. So when you, and when you're getting pre-approved, those things are important. That you're looking at is that you're working with someone that has a buffer in there, because the last thing you want to do is not afford those houses. So that's my take on flood. And this was a national increase. It wasn't specifically Babcock. It was October 1st. It all went through.
Yeah. So anybody who does run into that situation, like I did have a client on the golf course run into that, and her insurer was like, "No, you're in a flood zone." The salesman at Lennar was able to give her like a special certificate that she handed in to her insurer, and that kind of figured everything out, or got everything settled. So yeah, depending where you are, if you're moving into these new sections right away, like everything's a flood zone around here, but as they make the land improvements and all that, they can get that flood zone removed. And yeah, we're 30 feet above sea level up here, so we're like a mountain in South Florida. So
absolutely, we'll be like the only part that's not covered in water.
Yeah,
unless it's for a different reason.
We're going to be beachfront property here in 50 years, so
that's what I'm banking on. Just kidding.
If I'm still alive. What else did we want to talk about? All right, so let's run down like builders, what's going on.
Okay.
So the latest, greatest neighborhood is Northridge. If people have been paying attention, Pulte. I was there yesterday, and I think the first contracts for Northridge were signed. Like they're probably being signed today or tomorrow, something like that. So I think their goal is to open 4 homes a month. So now Pulte, though, something didn't happen right there, though. What I mean by that is that they've got 3 types of homes, right? Your 60 footers, your 50 footers, your 40 footers. That's your lot size. So the 40-foot lots, when you go into Northridge, when you come in and you go straight, like all the 50 and 60 footers are going north, and like to the west was supposed to be all the 40 footers. And for some reason, the land development did not go west. They only went north. So for right now, they're only going to be releasing the 50 and 60 footers, which those prices, you're looking like minimum prices like $450 to start and up on the 50 footers, and the 60 footers, man, there's some homes in there that are going to get up to $700,000, $800,000, even $900,000, depending on how fancy you get. Now the 40 footers though, I'm expecting are going to be very popular because that's called their Discovery Series in Northridge. Those homes are going to be probably in like the mid to high 3s. So, you know, good size homes. They're going to be, you're not going to get the full Pulte design experience. They're going to have packages for the home. So like good, better, best package. You choose your model. These models actually won't have many structural options as well. So it's a bit more of a streamlined approach. And this is actually more representative of Pulte's Centex brand, if you're familiar. So Centex has a community right down the street in North Fort Myers called the Enclaves. And so that's kind of how it does. Like they've got about 4 models there, and you pick your model. You can have like 1 or 2 structural things changed in the house. That's it. And then it's you. What package do you want? Good, better, best. So I think when those do come available, it may not even be, you know, the sales rep there. He wasn't even sure right now. It could be like Q2, maybe end of Q1, sometime in Q1. So that's the only thing to tell everybody right now. Like if you want to be in Northridge right now, you probably got to be at like at least 450 and up to get in there right now. So yeah, but Northridge, exciting. 322 homes are going to be built there. I'm thinking that's going to be I don't know. I think they're going to be selling there for a good 6, 7 years, and probably going to take them eight more years, 9 years to build that entire neighborhood out. So it's going to be around for quite a bit.
And how many homes are in Parkside right now? Just for me to get a comparison.
Parkside, I think, was like 180.
Wow.
I can't remember right now off the top of my head.
It's crazy. I mean, there's some nice models going in there.
Yeah, so Parkside, they still have like 10 lots left. Again, how many lots are they going to release each month? It's hard to say. And they have like 5 lots in there that they're going to wait to the very, very, very end to sell. They've got like the parking lot next to the model home. There's like 2 or 3 lots right there next to the model home that they won't sell to the very, very end just because they're right there. And then like on that lakes, I think it's called Lakeside Way or Lakefront Way. That's like that new section there that they're finishing out along Lake Babcock Drive. They have like 2 homes there in the corner that he told me for some reason they're not going to sell to the very, very end as well. But even to get into Parkside, they got rid of all the very small plans. So right now, the smallest plan you can do is a canopy, which is like a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And that is like 2,000, I think it's just under 2,000 square feet or right at. Even that plan, like you're talking like 430, 440 minimum. The Summerwood, the most favorite plan in there, like you're talking like probably 480 now to build a Summerwood in there, no pool. So Pulte's nice, but their prices are definitely a good amount higher comparably to Lennar and Meritage.
Sure. Yeah, and they give you a different experience. You get to customize a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. You're paying for the customization with Pulte, which Lennar gives you basically no choices. They give you 2 tile choices. That's about it. And then Meritage, they give you packages, so you can go package. They have 6 different packages per home, and your packages are all inclusive, right? It's your carpet, your tile, your bathroom tile, your granite, your backsplash, your cabinet colors. So yeah, Meritage, a little more options than Lennar, but not a whole lot more. So we actually just got a question from Dirk Diggler on YouTube. Are all the homes in Babcock Ranch fitted for electric vehicle charging, or is that something we must add on? If you can elaborate for both houses and condos. So for all houses, yes, they do have electric vehicle charging. But for the condos, from what I have seen on the golf course, in those, well, at least in the veranda style condos on the golf course, those do not have EV charging outlets. Now, they might have put them in the coach homes, but to be honest, I'm not sure about that on the coach homes in the golf course. But yeah, all single family homes have EV ports in them.
I did not know that.
Okay. Now you know.
Now I know. That's awesome. And there are some charging stations too by Slater's.
Yes.
And
in Founders Square. Yeah. There's some charging stations at the pool. At the Cypress Lodge, they have a charging station or 2 over there. So I'm sure more will be built as we continue to grow, because that's part of what's his name, Mr. Kitson vision that we were just discussing. His vision's like for every family to have like maybe 1 car, because everything else you're going to need here will be in town, and you won't have to go far for it. So
it was really funny when he was talking about that, because we had just gotten rid of our second vehicle. And then he was talking about getting rid of having 1 vehicle and getting rid of that. And I was like, I have no problem with that. I don't ever drive my car. I'm kidding, but
yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a radical change, because Americans, we love our cars. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, we do need a family vehicle because we do leave, Babcock once every
yeah.
3 or 4 months. That's a joke.
So let's run down the other neighborhoods too now. You've got Edgewater Shores. There's still lots in both of those, but again, there's 40, 50, and 60 footer homes. Like the 40 footers, even in Edgewater Shores now, are getting up into the mid to high threes.
Wow.
So, and then in Edgewater, the 40 and the 50 and 6, I don't think there's any 60 footers left in Edgewater, maybe on the northern shore, but you're talking lot prices. The remaining 50 and 60 footers that are left in Edgewater, you're talking lot prices of like 110,000 and up to like 130. So, I mean, you need, if you're thinking like 50 or 60 footer in Edgewater, like you better be having a budget of probably 550 at least and up. You
Yeah.
could go even up to like 700. So, I mean, I sold a house in there 750. So, it's getting to be big bucks. And Edgewater Shores on the inner rings, they have like an inner ring where the 60 footers are actually like reasonable, like 80,000, 90,000. And the 50 footers on that inner ring are like 75, 80. And then the outer ring that runs along Greenway Boulevard, like those 50 footer lots are actually like in the 30s. So if you want like that 50 footer, like a Mystique, Edgewater Shores is actually your best place to go right now. But because you can get the least expensive lot, but then you're running in now into like the monotony code issue where they won't build more than 3 of the same model in a row. So there's always that there's always something you got to be factoring in here when you go into these neighborhoods.
That's why resales are attractive sometimes because it's like what's there.
Yes, exactly.
But it's fun to build your own house. I'm enjoying it.
And then you got Crescent Grove, the new Meritage neighborhood. They're selling. They basically they're doing what's called their Live Now series. So Meritage traditionally is like an inventory builder, right? They like to build up a whole lot of homes and sell them rather than you come in, pick your lot, and do all that stuff. So that's kind of how they designed Crescent Grove. They've already permitted the whole 103 homes that are going in there. So they already know what homes going on each lot, what elevation the homes are getting.
Oh, wow.
So they released the 8 homes at the beginning of the month. I know that their lists have like dwindled down now because they're halfway through November and they still have 1 home left of those 8 homes. So now I'm thinking like come December, it's really probably going to be more like first come, first serve. I mean, there's still a few people waiting for specific models. But if you want to get in Crescent Grove, you need to get pre-qualified with them regardless. Even if I know you're going to use Susan as your lender, you still have to pre-qualify with Meritage or else they won't sell you a home. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, I'm guessing they've sold now about like 28 homes, something like that. So they still have a little over 70 homes to go. So they're going to be selling that probably through like Q3 of next year, end of Q2, through Q3. But that's a smaller neighborhood. So that should be done probably in early, I'd say that's going to be done by like summer 2023, I would think, that entire neighborhood.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, well, I remember the list being very long with Meritage. So
in the beginning it was, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the story there. Also, for anybody who wants to invest in homes, I think single family is like the way to go for now for like the next 15 years while this place is building out. We do not have nowhere near enough single family homes in this community for rentals. So, in terms of investments, I think Crescent Grove is very attractive right now. So if you want to talk about like specific models, give me a call about that. because I do think there's some models in there that are coming in at the high twos and low to mid threes that you can make a pretty good return on your money if you do rent them out.
Yeah, those are good properties.
Yeah. And so then we've got Crescent Grove, you've got Trails Edge, you know what's going on there, plenty of bidding, bidding for days, for years to come. No, but Trails Edge is going to be 819 homes, and I'm not sure how many homes they've finished now. They're probably at or just past like the halfway mark. So I think they're still going to be selling in Trails Edge for like another, I don't even know, maybe another 2 years here before they fill this neighborhood out completely.
Yeah. Trails Edge is such an awesome, neighborhood. I ran into somebody and they were like, we would never leave Trails Edge. There's so many kids. It's such a great, I mean, I would imagine some of these other ones will be that way, but definitely Trails Edge is full of children. If you are looking for that, I want like 1 million kids, definitely Trails Edge.
Right. Definitely. But it's also the biggest neighborhood. So that's, the biggest neighborhood, and also the Lennar price points are like the beginning price points for
well, you can get
families.
bigger homes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, like the stock homes are tough to have a family with. Is 3 bedrooms, like, it's not big enough in that sense. They're beautiful homes, but just not enough rooms.
Yeah.
For sure. But so the biggest home is going to be the one in Northridge.
The Roseland.
Yes. Well, if you turn that the loft, like if you cover it up, I think that house gets to like 4,600 square feet.
Yeah, and that Roseland, I could see that home getting over. I don't think you could build that home for less than 750. And I could see you had a pool and enough options, you could get that home probably close to $1 million.
They're over $1 million right now. In the same model is selling for over $1 million in what is that called? Corkscrew, the place.
Yeah. Yeah, so, just because that home starts at, I believe, 540, is it?
Yeah. But so I mean,
540, and then you add, it's either 540 or 580.
But that house is tough to like just buy base price. I mean, there's so much you have to add on.
Like for anyone listening, my rule of thumb with Pulte is you have your base price, your structural and your design options are going to be probably around 20%. So like that Roseland, 20% of 540 is about $110,000. So you're already up to 650. And you could go over 20% easily, right? So you're at 650. The lots for that house are $90,000 in there, 740. You throw in a pool, you're already at $800,000.
Yeah. And I would imagine even more, because by the time you make those choices, like that house has a lot of railings. If you do railings, I guess you could do the knee wall, but if you did that whole thing, I mean, that's probably $30,000 at least in railings. So, but it's a beautiful home. So if you get it, I want to look at it. It was funny because we were thinking about that house, right? So at one point we're like, oh, that's the one I wanted. Maybe I should do that, but nope, too high of a price point.
Yeah, well, it's be curious to see who builds that. Pulte is getting up to close to $1 million in Lake Babcock now. Have you seen the Layden model?
No.
So in Lake Babcock Estates on the preserve side, where the Divco model home is and that Arthur Ruthenberg house.
Yeah.
In between those lots, Pulte is only selling a special floor plan called the Layton. So the Layton, the base price on that home is $590. Those lots are $200. $790. You could throw a loft on that home. It's another $100. You throw in a pool and options, you can get up to $1 million on that home.
Nice.
Yeah. So
what'd you say?
So call me, $1 million buyers. Call me.
Well, what the thing is that when you look at these numbers, they sound like a lot. Like you're like, oh, the price points are $450, but it's it's hard because everybody's selling their houses for outrageous amounts. So you kind of have to pay outrageous prices. And like we were talking, like back to the 2008, I mean, if numbers are just starting to get back to that, I mean, it is possible that rates, I mean, not rates, it is possible that values could still keep going up because
So,
if we're only back to 2008, I mean, and you have to think about like what's going to happen when, Florida is increasing its minimum wage, right? I mean, if you're minimum wage, you're not buying the $1 million home, but what you're doing is taking up all the lower ones, which pushes everything up. So as people make more money and as a couple, they start making $30 an hour, they'll certainly be able to qualify maybe where they weren't able to before. So that's another thing to consider on, maybe why values might stay.
yeah.
So, do we have any
So,
more questions or?
yeah. Um, why do homes not come with gutters? So, normally, at a very minimum, like you're going to get gutters at like your entryway. If you have a 2-story home, you have to have gutters. But yeah, like Lennar, yeah, if you look at a Lennar home, like I have a rancher, the only gutters are like right in my entryway, and that's about it. I don't have gutters on the rest of my home. You know, with Meritage, that's an upgrade they offer to put on whole house gutters. If you don't, yeah, they're just going to again give you some gutters in the front entryway, unless you have a 2-story. I think Pulte does do gutters, if I remember correctly. But they might
Well,
be the same way, where it's like you only get it on the 2nd story or like right in your entryways.
I live in a second story. And when I open my back door, gush of water.
Yeah.
So like the going out to the backyard. So is it possible they only do it in the front, the gutters, and not the back?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
I could go look. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I know. Well, I know on like the sides and rear of my home, like I've got this one corner right here at the rear of my home where the water, it all puddles right there outside my house.
Yeah. But to answer his question, why? I think just to save money.
Well, yeah. So somebody said Pulte puts gutters standard on all homes all the way around. So yeah, that's what I thought Pulte did. But yeah, Lennar, you're just going to get that basic set of gutters, and Meritage, you can upgrade with them to put on gutters, or you can just do it after. So we've already got some fanboys here. Tony wants to know when we're doing our next live, Susan.
I don't know. Let's schedule it.
We should probably just make it like at minimum a monthly thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like hard to come back every week and start talking about a whole bunch of new stuff. Not to say that we can't. Of course, we can talk all day about real estate and mortgages, but.
Well, sometimes I feel like I have so much to say, and it's like I hadn't planned it with you, and I'm like, I need to go on and tell everybody this right now. Like, especially when, like there's a trend of the appraisals that happen in the neighborhood, like they all start going up at certain points. And
Yeah.
So it's, so anyway, maybe we could like do a scheduled first whatever of the month or something like that, so that people know what time we'll be there.
That would probably be smart, like the first Wednesday or something of every month.
Yeah. And then, we can aim to do one in the middle of the month or do like a special. Like we'll do one every month at that time. And then we can always add like a special that pertains to that month. And we can
like
vary
next
that.
month we could do a Christmas special.
Yeah. That means like we have to wear Santa hats and,
No.
that kind of stuff. Give away prizes,
Oh, now you're talking.
Right. So that'll be fun next month.
Well, this one we went longer. We're at 80 minutes alreay. We usually cut it off at an hour, but you were just talking so much. I
my
gosh. Let you talk.
Well, I thought we were ending at 2, and then we kept going, and I was like, okay, I'm good. I mean, the questions are coming in, and
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should throw out one more round if anybody has any more questions. So Frank Williamson, Mr. Golf Course, he asked, are appraisals coming in on target for these homes with what appears to be inflated prices?
So I guess I'll take that question, but I can only speak of my own experiences. So my appraisals are coming in great. I have not to date had any purchase in Babcock not appraise. So not one person has come in low. And I know that that was really a fear, especially in the beginning with Lennar, because if your house didn't appraise, then they were going to keep the deposit, or you had to make up the difference, and so on and so forth. And not that I can guarantee anything, but like I said, so far the record with me has been everything has appraised. I do have some fabulous comps. So if for some reason an appraisal didn't come here, hopefully I would have the data to supply to them. You know, so, but yeah, it's not a big fear at this moment. Now I don't know if it continues, what could happen, but a lot of times the appraisers come from the standpoint of, especially we were talking about inflated markets, but you have to understand that in a sense, what Lennar does with bidding is pretty much every resale house, right? So every resale house is bidding, in a sense. So usually people pick a time these days anyway. This is when we're taking offers, and that's how it is with Lennar. And so if someone is willing to pay it, then technically it's worth it. And so that's kind of, even though these prices are inflated and higher than we've ever seen, people are paying them, and that's probably why they're appraising. And also too, we have a very good record of having good appraisers. So, my company has not, we don't hire appraisers ourselves. We have appraisal management companies, but the management companies we use have good appraisers on staff.
Yeah.
So,
And we're going to bring on Sarah, our friend who is an appraiser that does live in town. So maybe we got to remind ourselves to bring her next time.
yeah, absolutely. She can answer some questions.
Yeah, because I have a 7-figure appraisal that just happened today. So I am like super anxious to see how that one goes. Because, I mean, for the most part, there's not too many 7-figure deals here in Babcock. So, I think it does get a little different at that level. Maybe, I'm not even sure.
Sometimes they have to have more than one appraiser, but again, the price of the house, it may not matter, right? You put enough money down. I mean, it matters for the client, it matters for you.
Yeah.
It may not matter for the bank. So don't always assume that it matters. It only matters if your loan, like if they're literally at 80% and that's the program and they don't have extra money, that's really where it matters. If it's a client that's putting down 50%, I mean, it's very unlikely that it would appraise that much lower, I would imagine. But it could happen. I mean, if there's not a lot of comps around, but if that particular house, some appraisers can go outside the neighborhood. In fact, from my understanding, they're encouraged to go outside the neighborhood for at least one comp. Now, what constitutes outside of the neighborhood, I guess, is a matter of opinion. Parkside is outside the neighborhood of Trails Edge.
Yeah.
Portico is also outside the neighborhood of Babcock Ranch.
Yeah.
So things can be, up to interpretation, but so
and
it's possible.
You could go right down to the North River Road, and there's multi-million-dollar properties down there on the river.
There are, although that would be difficult because what you're going to get is communities. So like if you're doing Babcock Ranch, they're more likely to compare it to Veranda or Portico than say just a house that's on the river, because that would be completely different because it's not in a community at all.
Right. Okay.
So that probably wouldn't happen. But yeah, as far as, how big is the house? Square footage wise, like 2,000 to 3,000?
4,000.
It's that much, huh?
It's a big house, yeah. So
very nice.
So we'll see.
Well, it better appraise, because I know other people that are buying 4,000 square foot houses that.
True. No, that this house would probably be a good benchmark for us.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton going in here that at that 4,000, and a 4,000 square foot house, I really thought would feel bigger. Like it's strange that it's like, I mean, it doesn't feel small, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel giant, which
I
my
know, right?
5 foot body, you would think it would be giant, but
Yeah.
then again. So, well, follow us along and for more information. I mean, there's always good stuff coming up.
Yeah, I think maybe we should just schedule our next one right now. What do you think?
All right, I'll pull up my calendar. All right.
So if we went with like that first Wednesday of the month thing, then that would be December 1st.
And that's good. Did you want to do 11?
Yeah, we could do 11 or this time worked good. It looked like we had pretty good engagement. We had about 12, 13 people like the whole time. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
You want to do 1 o'clock then? Is that what
yeah, that's fine. We can
Okay.
do 1 o'clock again. And yeah, so everybody who did watch the whole time, we appreciate.
Okay.
Do you have a map of Babcock Ranch that you can share? Yeah, send me a PM. There is one on the main website if you go to babcockranch.com. But yeah, if you send me a PM, I will get you with the map. Yeah, anything else, Susan?
No, that's it. I guess you want people to do the hashtag replay or whatever when they watch you.
Oh, I forgot to say that in the
All
beginning.
that stuff.
I
Okay, you gotta tell them now.
forgot my
Hey, if you're
intro.
still watching and you watch till the end, we want to know if you watch till the end. You're a trooper. And you're
Thank
going to be a good real estate Mongol, right?
Yep.
All right, guys. Catch you next time.
All right. Thanks, everybody.